What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got some awesome information for you guys, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And we're starting off with Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time on the Nintendo Switch, but also on the PlayStation 5, Xbox series of systems. It's coming out on March 12th. The PlayStation 5 and the Xbox series will have 4K 60 frames per second, and the DualSense controller will be used. So pretty cool stuff there. But the interesting thing with this port is that the Nintendo Switch version of the game, not only is it going to be $39.99, but it also seems like they have reworked this game quite a bit. It's not a simple, let's take the PlayStation 4 version and downport it on the Switch. It looks like they reworked the models and assets instead of just decreasing the resolution. So Crash Bandicoot 4, it's about time. Looks like more than a simple port Nintendo Everything is writing, according to a Twitter user, Kanozu, where he did put together a few comparisons of the PS4 and the Switch version of the game. It looks like they reworked the models and assets to where it employs now more of a cell shaded style. And to be honest, I'm looking through these and I kind of like the look of the cell shaded style for this type of game. Obviously it doesn't work for everything, so maybe like a Call of Duty or something like that wouldn't work well, but for a mascot type of platformer that's already cartoony to begin with, to have this type of look to it and to keep the resolution, it seems like it's going to be 1080p docked and 720p portable. I think that this was a very good idea, because if you look at the environments and everything still looks just as sharp and everything as the PS4 version. Obviously the lighting might not be as good in some of it. It doesn't look as like the neon and stuff like that. It's not quite as illuminated when it comes to certain lights and everything, but the environments still look very good, and the character models I like a bit more with that look to it as like it's a cartoon or cell shading. So to me, that's a good idea. I think that they did a good job with that, and maybe that's the reason why the game took a little bit longer than what they were expecting to have out, you know, because it came out last year. I know it was before the holiday, slightly before, and people really didn't respond that great to it. I think it sold okay, but Activision hasn't come out and said anything. The Xbox version was nowhere to be seen. The PS4 version was charting somewhat, but not as high as what Tony Hawk did, because they talked about how Tony Hawk sold like 1 million in very short amount of time. So I don't know if this game did as good, but I do feel that with the PS5 version and with the Xbox series version and with the Switch version, they are going to get some pretty decent sales. And the cool thing is that if you have the game already on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, you get a free upgrade to the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox series of systems to take advantage of all the benefits, the 4K 60 and all of that. Switch players, you don't have to pay $60 for it. It is going to be $20 off. So I think that this is a win-win situation for everyone involved. Switch players get that portable Crash Bandicoot that's probably going to run and perform and look good and not be blurry or whatever the case is, and PlayStation 4 and Xbox One users get a free upgrade of it if you have the next gen systems, or you can just stick with what you got, or you can just buy the game outright on PS5 or PS4 or whatever. Do what you need to do. And I like the fact that they're taking advantage of the DualSense controller as well. So overall, I think this is pretty good, and hopefully more developers kind of do stuff like this when it comes to the Switch, because there's 80 million plus systems out there. It's worth it, and it's about time, right guys? So what do you guys think about this here when it comes to Crash Bandicoot 4? Are you guys planning on picking up the PS5, Xbox series version, or going with the Nintendo Switch? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and getting into the topic here, that's been a huge back and forth on Twitter, and I've just been like sitting back and like just chilling on this one. But Nintendo, Goldeneye, the Xbox Live remake or remaster, what was going on here? Who canceled it? Who's at fault? Where do we point our fingers? Because recently the remaster for the Xbox Live Arcade was released on PC and people have been playing it. So the age-old question of what happened to this game and who stopped it from happening and all this has resurfaced. So let's go ahead and get into this topic here, guys. Now, in over a decade, there was talk about GoldenEye 007 possibly coming to a virtual console on the Wii and Xbox Live Arcade for Xbox 360. Now, the news is now being talked about again over a decade later following a huge leak. Recently, a bill popped up online of Rare's GoldenEye 007 remake for the Xbox 360, showing the project was almost complete. Now, why was the game never released despite development almost being completed? It turns out that Nintendo, who published the original, blocked it in the end. Artist Ross Burry told Ars Technica this, quote, "When it was put to Nintendo, everyone there approved it, except they didn't check with one guy who mattered. I believe I was told his response went along the lines of, "There's no way a Nintendo game is coming out on a Microsoft console." Now, it's unclear which Nintendo executive ultimately forbid GoldenEye 007's debut on the Xbox 360. Barry himself isn't sure, but knows that it wasn't the former president Hiroshi Yamauchi. The team at Rare was never informed about the person's identity. Without Nintendo's approval, the GoldenEye 007 remake was dead in the water. The game would never launch despite being finished, with the final bug count coming in at roughly 90 bugs. So this sent off a lot of people being upset, saying who's at fault? Was it this or was it that? Was it MGN or whatever? Who was the problem with this? And now it seems like we know, maybe, although we don't know which executive at Nintendo. If it wasn't the president, who was it then? I mean, who could it have been at the time? Obviously, Nintendo's executives have changed dramatically from a decade ago. Everyone that was in power and that was doing stuff a decade ago aren't really there anymore. When it comes to executives, there's not a lot of people that are there. I mean, Shigeru Miyamoto, but I'm not sure if he was the one that said no, so I have no idea. But either way, I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point now, because you can play the game. If you want to play, it's there for you to play, and you can enjoy it if you want to. For me, 007 was great back in the day. I played it on the N64. I never figured that I wanted a remake of the game or anything, but I haven't even downloaded the PC version either myself, because I don't really care anymore. I played it back then. It was fun for its time, but for me, I've kind of moved on and played other stuff, and I don't even really play first-person shooters anymore. But it's cool for those who actually want to play it, and the story in terms of the history is also very interesting to see, especially back then, because Nintendo and Microsoft were not all buddy-buddies like they are now. But hopefully one of these days, it can get a re-release on the Nintendo Switch, and it can also come out to the Xbox series of systems. Nintendo and Microsoft are on much better terms now, but I don't know, man. This might never come back, but we'll see what happens. So what are you guys' thoughts on this when it comes down to it? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, guys. It looks like PS5 controllers are drifting, the analog, and the repairs are a hassle. This is according to a report from Kotaku, and you know, usually when people talk about drifting, it's always Joy-Cons, man. You got the Joy-Con drifting, you got the lawsuits that are going down, all this different stuff, but it seems like PS5 is having it pretty bad here. Now, I did talk about this before on a OJ stream, live stream, a while back. I know it was like last year, but it didn't seem like it was as widespread as, like, let's say, Joy-Con drift. But now it seems like it's getting to the point to where it's getting pretty popular for people's controllers to be drifting. Now, also, disclaimer here, guys, I don't think I played my PS5 enough for it to even be drifting. However, when I played Cyberpunk, my controller definitely drifted when I was playing Cyberpunk. When I was playing Miles Morales, it didn't. But when I was playing Cyberpunk, it did. I don't know if that was a bug in the game or it was just because of my controller, so I wasn't really sure. But anyway, let's talk about this here, guys. So it seems like these controllers are drifting. Many users have talked about it on Twitter, and one user did report the issue 10 days after receiving their PS5, stating that they tried every possible fix, power cycling the console, turning Bluetooth on and off, resetting the controller, and finally charging it fully overnight to no avail. Now, another uploaded video to Reddit that appears to show serious controller drift in the 15-second clip. You can clearly see the player's fingers are off the thumbsticks while playing Destiny 2, and yet the player's gun, a snazzy sidearm that bears a strong resemblance to Lonesome, a legendary sidearm with terrific fire rate and some serious punch, drifts across the screen on its own accord. Here's the issue too, guys. At the moment, if you want to get this fixed, because these controllers are expensive and some of them are hard to find in stores, if you want to get it fixed, you can go through Sony PlayStation support page, which has a dedicated portal for issues with the PS5 hardware, including the DualSense controller. Just keep in mind that PlayStation support team is swamped at the moment, fielding requests about the PlayStation 5, which is still nigh impossible to find, Kotaku writes. Now, when they did try hitting up the support, they were told to reach out to customer service agent via the contact page for PlayStation support. In a conversation over on instant messages, an agent told me to call 1-800-345-7669 and press 1 for PS5. They did so, and then listened to, no joke, a dozen different pre-recorded messages informing me that PlayStation support is not the place to inquire about finding a PlayStation 5. I was then kicked over to hold. On the plus side, it was a soundtrack by Gustavo Santaolall's Dwangy The Last of Us theme. On the not plus side, I had to listen to it for 17 minutes. As ever, PlayStation support remains a Byzantine maze of conflicted emotions. So eventually they did make it to a person and was told that the DualSense Drift is covered under warranty. You will, however, have to pay for shipping for your controller to a Sony repair center, a cost that varies based on the number of factors, including location, total weight of the package, but Sony apparently covers the return shipping, no recoup on whatever you pay for the first shipping label. So there's that, guys. They're drifting. It is what it is. If you want to reach out to Sony, it's tough on there. So it's interesting to see this because there was all sorts of lawsuits going down and all sorts of issues in terms of things. But at least with the returning with the Joy-Cons, I know that I think I returned one of mine and it was very easy. I didn't have to pay for it, but I know that I think like after 1 or 2 times, Nintendo might make you pay for it. I'm not really sure how it is with how everything's going, but this seems to be a big issue here that Sony's gonna have to deal with for a while until they get it fixed too. So I'm not sure what's going on with this drifting stuff. I'm not sure if this was just built into the sticks in terms of what they use, but obviously it's not a good thing, but we'll see how it is when it comes down to it. Hopefully Sony can get it fixed sometime soon. So what are you guys' thoughts on this when it comes to the DualSense controller drifting? Have you been having any issues? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, guys. We've got some new SNES and NES games coming to Nintendo Switch Online on February 17th, and I've never heard of any of these games. Now, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System Nintendo Switch Online app will add Doomsday Warrior, Prehistoric Man, and Psycho Dream. And the Nintendo Entertainment System Nintendo Switch Online app will add Fire and Ice on February 17th. So this is a very interesting selection. Now, another interesting thing about this, guys, is that in Japan, the lineup consists of Mario Super Picross, Psycho Dream, Shin Megami Tensei 2, and the NES title Solomon's Key 2. So I think Japan got a little bit better roll of the dice when it comes to the games than the West. And I think it's cool. I mean, I know some people were upset. They're mad that they don't get their game in terms of like Super Mario RPG or whatever the case is, the same games that they've bought and played 5 million times over again. So like, I get that. And for me, I've never really cared too much about the Super Nintendo Online games. Like, I haven't put a ton of time into it. I'm not going to sit here and lie and act like I do, because I don't. But definitely it'd be nice to get some of the games that people are really looking for, like Earthbound or like, what was it, Super Mario RPG, or some other games that we haven't gotten yet at this point. So hopefully they do add them. I know like Donkey Kong was like the last one, people were really happy about that. So we'll see what they do. So what are you guys' thoughts on this when it comes to the Super Nintendo Online games? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the last topic here, guys. Dragon Star Varnir is coming to the Nintendo Switch. So Compile Hearts, a developer that usually is PlayStation only, has been making quite a bit of games on the Nintendo Switch, are getting their ports ready to go. So they will release this new game, or it's really not new, but they will release Dragon Star Varnir for the Nintendo Switch via the Nintendo Switch eShop this spring in Japan. The latest issue of Famitsu has revealed. Now, the game first launched on the PlayStation 4 in October of 2018 in Japan, followed by a June 2019 release in the West. So it's not too old at this point. A PC version was released via Steam on October 2019 worldwide. Now, in this game, battles will take flight. You can fight enemies mid-air in a unique vertically oriented battle system. Your party at different tiers to attack and disable the enemy's skill one level at a time. You can enter the dragon, but without Bruce Lee. Now, perform enough attacks to unleash the dragon within, transforming each character to unlock devastating skills and newfound strength during battle. You can also become the dragon. Weaken an enemy dragon to devour its element. When the element is pierced into the character, they can absorb the dragon's skill tree. But at what cost is this? Also, madness or riches. 3 witches depend on you to bring them dragon's blood as food. Starve them and they go mad. Overfeed them and they become a dragon. Will you keep them alive or sacrifice them to obtain ultra rare items and skills? Your choices will change the game's endings. Wow, that seems scary, but then also exhilarating at the same time. So what are you guys' thoughts about this? I have no idea about this game. I did not know what it is. Compile Hearts makes really weird and kind of niche Japanese games, but they continue plugging those games away on PlayStation systems. So it's good to see them coming over to Nintendo Switch, because you guys see what's happening. The Switch is absolutely dominating in Japan, so it makes sense for them to start kind of shifting gears just a bit, especially with the PlayStation 5 not starting off strong in Japan and a lot of their sales coming from Japan. So we'll see how things go in this upcoming generation here for them. So what are you guys' thoughts on this when it comes down to all the different topics here? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And of course, make sure you check out the link in the description, guys, and vote on our newest poll. It is up on the channel, and you might get some of your answers read off. So I do appreciate everybody who has commented on the polls, and we'll definitely continue to do them because they're a lot of fun. So thank you guys so much for that. I appreciate it. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.